Why your life depends on something so small, optimal thyroid health. Have you ever wondered why there are people who can eat all they want to eat and even more, but they never gain weight? Or somebody can eat just very, very little, eat like a bird, and they put on weight just looking at food. It all has to do with your thyroid. Are you moody? Hard to get along with? Over the top emotional? Tired all the time? You can't sleep? Worst of all, your family thinks it's all in your head. You probably need to have your thyroid checked. You know, there's a list of symptoms for thyroid disorder a mile long. Not only what I've already mentioned, but is your hair falling out? Have you noticed that your eyelashes are not as thick as they used to be? Or maybe it looks from a distance that you don't even have eyelashes. Are your eyebrows thinning out? Do they only come over this far on your eye? And the outer is missing? It's probably your thyroid. You probably should get it checked out. So what's the big deal about a thyroid? Why should we be concerned about a thyroid? People have their appendix taken out all the time. Gallbladders, they act up. Yeah, doctor says it's coming out. So there you go. No gallbladder, no appendix. And you can still live to be 100. But why can't you live to be 100 if they take out your thyroid? The thyroid is a small butterfly-shaped organ. It's in the base of your neck, right below your Adam's apple. It has an effect on everything that your body does. Should you be able to feel it? No. You shouldn't be able to feel your thyroid. Can you feel it when you swallow? No, you probably shouldn't be able to feel it. If you can feel your thyroid when you swallow, or if you can see it outwardly in the mirror, in pictures, you probably need to get your thyroid checked. You probably have a goiter. Most people who have thyroid disease, they look normal. Family members don't see anything wrong with them. So who does this thyroid disease affect? It's not discriminate on age. Some babies are born without thyroids. Some babies are born and they have a thyroid, but it doesn't work as it should. So what do we do with them? Well, we can't just let them suffer, because you can't live without a thyroid. If your thyroid doesn't function properly, you'll be put on medication. If they remove your thyroid with surgery or with radioactive iodine therapy, you'll be on thyroid therapy medicine the rest of your life. You cannot live without your thyroid. So I recommend that you not take any symptom lightly. Even though a lot of the symptoms do mimic other illnesses, you should have your thyroid checked out. A thyroid controls everything that goes on in your body. It controls your metabolic rate. If you can raise your metabolism with exercise, that's great. But it should always come back down. If you have a high thyroid rate and it stays high all the time without physical exertion, you probably have a thyroid problem. And that thyroid problem would be called hyperthyroidism. Hyperthyroidism is where your thyroid produces too much thyroid hormone. Thus, the people who can eat and eat and eat and never gain weight. Hyperthyroid has quite a few symptoms. I have been there before. I started out years ago, well, all my life. I was always a little bit more chubbier than my siblings. Didn't bother me. I still participated in life. I played softball from the time I was a kid until I was in my 20s. I lived a normal life, went to college, got married, had babies. Being a little chubby didn't bother me. I didn't care. But then one day, something amazing happened. Or so I thought it was amazing. Stepped on the scale and I'd lost 10 pounds. Pretty cool, I wasn't even trying. So the next week I weighed, lost some more weight, yes. And it just continued on a weekly basis. I was still eating potato chips, sandwiches, pizza, drinking 8 to 10 cans of Mountain Dew a day. Pasta, oh, I love pasta, macaroni and cheese, loved it. Still lost weight, that's not normal. I thought I looked great. My family didn't. I can remember my mom telling me, Vicky, you don't look healthy. You need to go to the doctor. My sister, who's a nurse, something about you just don't look right. I had the buggy eyes. I thought I looked awesome. I thought I had a great body, to be honest. Best I'd looked in years. But then my husband finally talked me into going to the doctor. Doctor number 1, he ran a thyroid scan. He tested my TSH level. Now the THS is a thyroid stimulating hormone. It's actually a pituitary test. It tests to see how well your pituitary is telling your thyroid to produce thyroid hormone. How it ever became a thyroid indicator test, I'll never know because it doesn't really test your thyroid. So my thyroid was tested. My TSH was way too high. So doctor number 1 determined I was hyperthyroid. Thus, the reason why I was having that awesome weight loss. He put me on medication for a year. Said that if that didn't help, then I could either have my thyroid surgically removed. I didn't like that option. Or I could have radioactive iodine therapy. And he described that as swallowing 1 pill, you're done. That was my option, I took that one. So I had radioactive iodine therapy done, went to the nuclear medicine department of the local hospital. And the nuclear medicine guy showed up with a pill. I promise you it was this long and about that big around. My first thought was, I can't swallow that, I'll choke. So he came over and he showed me the pill. And I looked at it and I stared at it because I was just amazed at how big that thing was. And he says, I have never seen a doctor prescribe so much radioactive iodine for any patient as this. Well, after a few tries, I finally got that thing down. But I had to go to the hotel. Couldn't be around the kids. Had to stay 3 feet away from them while they were little. So that's pretty much hard to do. So had to stay 3 feet away from everybody, had to flush the toilet 3 times, had to wash my hands 3 times. 3 was a magic number. Had to stay away from them for 3 days. So I checked into the cheap hotel, and it rained all weekend. There was nothing to watch on TV. I was so bored, I was so ready to go home. So I went home, life went on. All of a sudden I started gaining weight. Well, if you don't have thyroid anymore, you're no longer hyperthyroid, because there's nothing there to work. You're automatically hypothyroid. Hypothyroid is where your thyroid doesn't produce enough thyroid hormone. And by the virtue of not having a thyroid, there was no thyroid hormone. So, on to Synthroid. Doctor number 1 prescribed Synthroid. I took it for 14 years. Never saw relief from my symptoms. Could not lose weight. My hair kept falling out. All other kinds of symptoms. Moody, oh my goodness, you don't know bad moods until you've been with me. Just ask my husband. So about 3 years ago, of course in the meantime I had switched to doctor number 2, and she kept me on Synthroid. About 3 years ago, I found the Stop the Thyroid Madness website. And they have subsequent Facebook pages. Boy, did I learn a lot. My patient experience, Synthroid wasn't helping anyone. But we all wondered why the doctors kept prescribing Synthroid if it doesn't help. Well, think about it. Synthroid is the #1 seller for thyroid disorders. Doctors are, I wouldn't say they're paid off by the big pharma industry, but I do know that the big pharma industry pays for hospital wings, they pay for research, they build medical schools. So if you're benefiting from all that money from a pharmacy corporation, don't you think you ought to push their drug? Of course, that's theory, but in my view, I think it's a pretty good theory. So after being with doctor number 2 for 6 years, I asked her if I could try NDT, stands for natural desiccated thyroid. Natural desiccated thyroid is not synthetic like Synthroid is. It's made from dried pig's thyroid. Stop the Thyroid Madness is a big advocate of NDT. By patient experience, many patients have overcome their symptoms that they couldn't get rid of on Synthroid. So I talked to doctor number 2 into prescribing it for me. I was so overjoyed, all it took was a phone call. I thought, yeah, this is going to be cool. I'm going to get better. So she prescribed the 90 milligrams once a day. And of course, I had read the Stop the Thyroid Madness book by Janie Bothroyd. And the protocol that they follow is to start out with 60 to 90 milligrams a day. As your symptoms continue, you gradually increase by 15 milligrams every 2 to 3 weeks. You don't stop dosing until most of your symptoms are gone. Well, for me, that was 6 grains. Of course, NDT is measured differently than it is with Synthroid. It's not measured in milligrams, it's measured in grains. So I was feeling wonderful at 6 grains. So I went in to see doctor number 2 for my 6-month checkup. Had lost weight, had all kinds of energy. My hair quit falling out. I felt wonderful, best I'd felt in my life. So when doctor number 2 asked me, well, how you doing? I was honest with her. Told her it was the best I'd ever felt. And then I confessed. I confessed that I had bought Armor online. Of course, some of us know how to do that without a prescription. And I self-dosed according to the Stop the Thyroid Madness protocol. She freaked out. I'm telling you, she freaked out. She grabbed my hand, pulled me out of my chair, walked me over to the Synthroid poster that was hanging on the wall, and it listed the symptoms of hyperthyroid and hypothyroid. And she said, see these? They're all going to come back. You better get back on Synthroid. I told her no. I said, I would really rather do this with your help. She says, I can't do that. I'll lose my medical license. So she didn't bother to go over the rest of my lab work, which was all out of whack. Some of it, my vitamin D, cholesterol. She wasn't concerned about those. All she was concerned about was getting me back on Synthroid. So when I walked out the door, she fired me. Now I'm at doctor number 3, totally satisfied. Dr. Trumbauer, whom I drive 200 miles one way to see, is a thyroid patient himself. And when I first went to him, I thought, I sure hope he agrees with me. So I get in his office. There's a Stop the Thyroid Madness poster hanging on the wall. I'd struck gold. If you go to the Stop the Thyroid Madness website, you'll notice Janie has written 2 books. One of them is Stop the Thyroid Madness. The other one is, guess what? Stop the Thyroid Madness Part 2. Part 2 is what's really cool. Part 1 is all about patient experience with natural desiccated thyroid. Good success for those people. They have found what works for them. And actually it works for me too. But the second book that Janie put out, really impressed. Because guess what? My doctor wrote a chapter in that book. He wrote a chapter on nutrition and hypothyroidism. Do you know that inflammation can be controlled through your diet? If you go gluten-free and wheat-free, you can bring that inflammation down a lot. So what have we learned today? We've learned that a thyroid, even though it's ever so small, is one of the most important organs in your body, because without it, you can't live without it. It's not like an appendix or gallbladder. What have we learned today? By patient experience, natural desiccated thyroid meds like Armor, Nature-Throid, WP Thyroid, IRFA, those natural desiccated thyroids, by patient experience, has improved their thyroid disease better than what Synthroid ever could. In fact, if you talk to a lot of former Synthroid patients, they'll tell you they call it Syn crap, because it didn't do anything for them. They always felt like crap. But I'm here to tell you, don't take your thyroid for granted. A lot of thyroid symptoms mimic other diseases, so you may just blow them off. I did. If you're hyperthyroid, man, that weight loss is really attractive and you don't want to stop it, but you really should have your thyroid checked out. So what I wish for you is a healthy life, including a healthy thyroid, and that you will live long. Thank you for coming.